Good evening, everybody. This is the Metaphysical Contingency, episode 3. Um, I'm your host, Daniel Presedo,
And I'm your other host, Luke O'Hara.
and we have a special guest here today, Craig Robinson. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice to meet you guys. Great to be on the podcast.
Ready to have you here as well, man. So I guess we're doing this episode because you've told Luke before, but you messaged me. It's been years since we met, and you messaged me after seeing our previous podcast or previous episodes, talking about your beliefs, and you wrote down your beliefs, your belief system, and yeah, if you want to talk us a little bit about it, just to give us a bit of a summary.
Yeah, so I was a Christian until recently, and now I would identify myself as being spiritual but not religious.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some belief systems that is kind of based on logic and rationality and stuff like that, like my own kind of ideas.
Sure. Nice. Anything to comment, Luke?
No, I've talked to Craig extensively about some of these topics, so it'll be cool to be able to give him I guess, outreach to people can know a bit more about you and what you stand for, what you believe, your ideas about life and things. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the way we're gonna go through this is because you wrote over here.
Yeah, I've got
how many
I've got
pages?
4 pages.
4 pages worth. You said it was like a 12-minute read, but we will go through each of your section. Of course, name the title of each section. Craig will read it, and then we'll just reflect on it and talk about it, give us our thoughts, and go a conversation from there. So, Craig, over to you.
Yeah, I'll start off on the creator. Everything that has a beginning has a cause. The universe has a beginning, therefore it must have a cause. That cause itself must be uncaused, eternal, powerful, and outside of time and space. That cause is therefore God. Our universe is fine-tuned for the existence of intelligent life. The odds of all the laws of physics being perfectly adjusted to enable life are impossibly small. This proves it was designed by an intelligent creator. That life emerged from non-life is evidence of an intelligent God being active in this universe. That we have concepts like love and morality shows we are intelligently designed and not just a random accumulation of molecules.
It's beautiful. I pretty much agree with you what you wrote there. Just wondering, what was your last sentence again?
That we have concepts like love and morality shows we are intelligently designed.
Yeah, so regarding that, I guess my question to you is, why do you need a creator to have morals? Why is it even needed to have a creator to have morals? Why does it have to be that case?
Why can't it just be evolution or something like that?
Why can't it be random chance or something like that? But also there is a logic. Everybody has their own logic, but I guess atheists or non-believers use logic that you don't need a creator.
Well, I think random chance can't be something that's dependent, like just a bunch of chemicals in your brain or something. Sure. It doesn't produce a moral system that can be depended upon or even pointed to, because you can just say, well, that's just for example, you don't blame the lightning when the lightning strikes.
Sure.
So if that's just a chemical reaction happening in the atmosphere when the murderer kills a child or something,
sure,
how is that any different from the lightning striking?
Sure.
So just a bunch of chemicals or a bunch of random interactions doesn't provide you with a moral system.
Yeah.
But what we see in society is we have these moral systems, which the only way to explain them is to recognize that they're intelligently designed.
Any thoughts, Luke?
Yeah, no, for the most part, I agree. For me, it's easy for me because of my belief system, believing in God and stuff like that, and it's very in order, we are highly, I'd say, compared to the rest of the mammals and the birds and things were a highly intelligent species. And part of that, the fact that we're the only creatures that have consciousness, I think the reason we have that is so that we can try to, I don't know, act well and not be like the rest of the beasts of the earth, just killing and going.
Well, most of the other mammals they eat the babies of their own species. So can you imagine if humans did that, like, and morally justified it somehow? But it's impossible to morally justify within our framework.
So you're saying it is justifiable
to them, to the animals, okay, to eat their enemies' babies and stuff like that. But to us, it's morally reprehensible.
Would you say they have consciousness? I mean, everything doesn't.
I don't believe in animal consciousness. I only believe in the humans have consciousness.
So what do you believe the animals have? That's differentiate.
They run on instincts.
Just instincts.
Pure instinct. But the arguments that go through in this section, basically that's the Callum cosmological argument. It's the teleological argument, also known as the argument from fine tuning.
Sure.
And this is the argument from the life can't emerge from non-life.
Yeah.
And the argument from morality.
So is the Callum cosmological argument, that's the cause and effect?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I heard about it before from William Lane Craig.
Yeah.
Is that where you heard it as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one, like a big proponent for that.
But it's similar to many other cosmological arguments.
Yeah,
like sure. I like the contingency argument or the argument from change as well. They're very similar.
What is that? Can you compare the two? Tell us about.
Contingency argument says that there are like contingent things, which means something is dependent on something else.
Sure.
And that thing is dependent on something else. That thing's dependent on something else, and you keep going back. Eventually, there has to be something like at the beginning, which is not dependent on anything else itself, but everything else is dependent on it.
Okay.
And the argument from change is similar to that. It says that there is like everything in motion is moved by something else, but in the beginning there is an unmoved mover, which moves everything. Anyway, you want me to continue on to the next section?
Yeah.
I say that no other God but God alone. God is one. God has no need for other gods, parts or divisions within the divine self. God is singular and unimaginable. Names given to God are merely a reference for human thinking, but truly before creation God had no need for names or images. It's disobedience to worship an image or name of the unseen God, since that would be portraying God as less than what the true nature of God is.
Okay, so tell us how you come across this. Why is there one God? Why only one God? Is there?
Well, I think one God is like the simplest solution to their arguments for God's existence. They don't invoke a need for multiple parts or multiple gods.
Sure.
The singular God is the most clean solution to those questions.
So you said something about it's even before names or.
Yeah. So.
What was that again? Can you repeat that?
So. Before creation, God had no need for names or images.
Yeah.
So some people might call God
names.
Allah or Yahweh
Jehovah and stuff
or
like
a bunch of different names, but God is infinite. So it's beyond imagination. Like I see names as kind of anthropomorphic.
Sure.
So I'm trying to push back against anthropomorphism. So I'm not imagining God as like a man in the sky sitting on a throne or something like that.
Yeah.
It's far, far beyond that.
So would you also say that everyone's touch, is this universalism? Do you believe in that? Like everyone's, believe in the same God, or at least trying to touch the same God. Even we have different names for the same thing.
Yeah, I believe that people are seeking God,
Yes.
but they're not necessarily finding the truth. But the seeking is important.
Yeah. So what about? I mean, what do you think? If you claim you've found the true God, or is it God within? Yeah, I don't know if you can elaborate about it more.
Well, I think God is in God's true nature is unknowable.
Sure.
So you can seek and you can find things about God through His creation.
Yeah.
In the same way that you can learn about the painter through the painting,
Sure.
but you don't find the painter in the painting.
Okay.
You recognize aspects of personality and stuff through what has been created.
It sounds a little bit like Plato's idea of forms, if you've heard of it.
Can you elaborate a bit about it?
I'm gonna bastardize
It's alright,
this,
it's alright.
but it's
Cool.
essentially each object in our Earth, or each thing in our Earth, is a representation of a higher, more complete, pure thing in another, I guess, dimension.
Mm.
So it's a bit like you might never see God, but you can see aspects of Him through this world, I guess.
So you can never see the true face of God. In other words, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. They even say that in the book of John, I think. That you can't see the face to face, meet God face to face.
But he's closer to us than we know.
Sure. I do agree with that. That gets me thinking: if people have met God or claim to have met God like through actual divine experience or something, every religion claims. Christianity, non-Christians, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever. They have different words to explain what they've seen. And some might say some of them are actually demons, but let's go assumption that they're all touching the same source. Yeah, it's like you can't even see the real face of God. It's unknowable. You can't know the unknowable because what do you call it? It's like a contradiction.
Sure.
But, yeah.
Even I just contradicted myself. If you realize I just called God He.
Yeah.
That's an anthropomorphization.
Yeah.
Based on, I guess, social conditioning and also prior beliefs, it's
Yeah.
instilled within your muscle memory.
And we're like, you can never really let go of that. I mean, at least in this world, because you have a limit with your capacity, our brain, with our ego and all that. But sure. Yeah. Any other thoughts or things before we go to the next one?
Whereabouts are we? So those go to learn.
Yeah.
This is the next. We're really.
I'm gonna slightly push back, and I'm going to say that, again, just based on faith, that you can know, but I can't prove it. Like, you can know the true God, but
Because you believe that God can be known through the person of Jesus.
I guess so. And the facts, and I guess an argument for anthropomorphism is the fact that, like, at least like in a Christian lens, there's a reason why it's like he's called God the Father. The Son was meant to be, like, it's gendered for a specific purpose, I guess.
Yeah.
The one way where I do see it as not being anthropomorphic is the Holy Spirit. It's not gendered at all. But regardless if you can know or not, is your main argument that you should at least try to seek?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. I'll go on to the next section now.
Yeah.
The meaning of life. Life is the conditions required to experience being a perspective the endless universe inevitably forms of itself. There are so many planets, It was inevitable because of how the universe was designed that intelligent life would form. You are a part of the universe which experiences the rest of the universe. Every individual perspective was created by God, although no perspective is part of God's essence. Every perspective depends entirely upon God for its existence. God is present throughout creation and closer to us than we realize, yet remains distinct from what he has created.
You go first, Luke.
Okay. So I've heard the first part quite a couple of times from me and Craig talking many times. It sounds Alan Watts comes across something quite similar, and also people who have had certain experiences with nature, we'll say. I don't disagree. I agree. I do think that we are all just a part of the universe experiencing itself. What was the second part to that? Yeah. Okay, no perspective is part of God's essence. Yeah, because he has to be outside of it, essentially.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you believe like
So we are part of the universe, but us being the universe doesn't make us God.
Sure.
It's not a pantheistic assertion.
Yeah. Okay. I agree.
so you don't have so you don't believe that we are God in any sense.
No.
Yeah.
We are
Completely different.
we are created beings.
Sure. Yeah. Sorry. Can I read it?
And God has to be an uncreated being for any of this to work, I guess.
But God cannot be created, cannot be destroyed, right? Like that's what you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean? No perspective is part of God's essence. Aren't we still part of God's essence even if we're not God?
So we are not like we are not God. We are not in essence. We are not God. We are in essence. You're some. You
Sure.
each person has their own perspective that's unique to them.
What about if the? But we can have the essence within us even if we're not the essence itself. Like for example, the Holy Spirit in Christian context, when the Holy Spirit enters, you have the essence even though you are not the essence. Well, what do you guys think of that?
I see what you're saying, and I'd agree. Whereas I think I've been researching some of the branches of Christianity a bit more. Someone feel free to fact check, but I think it is Mormonism, which claims that like Jesus is like God or a God, but everyone has the ability to transcend into like a godlike form.
Everyone has their own heavens. Everyone actually becomes their own God.
Yeah, whereas I guess mainstream Christianity kind of pushes against it, where it's like we've got God inside us, but we ourselves cannot be God. In which case, I'd agree on that. Yeah.
Okay. I have nothing else.
Yep. We'll go on to the next
Yeah.
next section. Purpose. The purpose of life is to reflect the qualities of our Creator we as mere mortals can perceive: love, kindness, patience, peacefulness, compassion, wisdom, and creativity. As God created, we must create. As God loves, we must love. As God teaches, we must teach. God's essence is beyond imagination, but God's relationship to creation can be described in human terms imperfectly by analogy. We possess an innate capacity to recognize truth, goodness, and our Creator. Human life is a process through which perspectives created by God are tested, developed, and judged as they move through creation towards greater alignment with God's will.
What do you think God's will is?
God's will? Ooh. Like it's for everyone to move up, like in terms of like their, I wouldn't call it karma, but it's like karma, like achieving a better afterlife and
Sure.
ascending like morally and spiritually. So I think God's will is for everyone to like become like enlightened in that sense.
Sure. Do you believe there's different? We can talk about it more later if you go through it later. I think I'm not sure. I forgot. But different levels of or like this karmic, even though you wouldn't call it karma, because in Christianity there's just heaven or hell or purgatory, right? But that's it.
But even you don't you believe there's levels to heaven and levels to hell, like Dante?
Like, yeah. I don't truly believe it in a literal sense because I don't know, but it's not. It's more of a like an allegory. I would think of Dante's Inferno or Dante's essential neglect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess regarding purpose, do you think there's one main purpose, or is is the purpose to life just all what you've listed, like things like what you listed?
So
What are we
like
striving
I
for?
said, like the main purpose is like reflecting.
Sure, but like,
Is trying to reflect those qualities.
but how do we know?
the-
How do we know that is the main purpose? Like,
Like
There's
how
nothing
do we
greater.
know there's not like a secret mission? that we-
a
that
secret
we don't-
something.
that we
Like,
don't know about?
yeah, like gnosis, Gnostics would call it. But yeah, something. Yeah, like to me that's kind of like a bummer if that's just you can't just reflect. But like it might as well be. I don't know. But there's gonna be something.
Interesting.
I don't know. I feel like it's if you discover like the whole purpose to life, the meaning of life, something greater. That's what a lot of religions do, right? But yeah. So were you gonna say something?
How did you come to understand that this is the main purpose?
Yeah.
I think a lot of this thinking is actually borrowed from Christianity, like the idea of being made in the image of God,
Sure.
and that like, well, we in Christianity are called to imitate Jesus,
Sure.
and Jesus is imitating God. So essentially, the purpose is to imitate God and imitate godliness.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I always heard. As a Christian, of course, the meaning is Jesus. It's very simple. If someone's like a Christian, you just say Jesus, right? God. But besides that, because you can say everything is due to Jesus. But besides that, it's like I feel like it's kind of there's always that old saying the purpose. There's really no meaning to life on this except the meaning you give it. It's I guess atheists would use it, but I would say, of course, the meaning is God.
Yeah.
But the meaning for us to live in this world, what to do, is in itself really has no meaning but what we give to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I just made a distinction between meaning and purpose,
Sure.
because meaning and purpose I view them as two different things, but a lot of people would put meaning in with purpose.
What's the difference?
Meaning is like a definition.
Yeah.
It's more like this is what it is. This
Sure.
is how it relates to everything.
Sure.
Purpose is what do you do with it?
Okay.
What's the reasons behind it?
Sure. Okay. Cool. Next section.
Yeah. Choices. God has given us the ability to make choices. God values freely chosen goodness more than compelled goodness. The choices we make are an imperfect reflection of patterns that extend across past lives, this life, and future lives. The disobedient usually continue to disobey. The obedient usually continue to obey. Patterns influence behavior, but do not determine behavior. You have the choice to turn away from disobedience, but God knows what you will do.
I can agree with that, and I can even throw in some of the stuff I've learned about through my studies of mental health and even Aboriginality. There's a thing called neural pathways. Are you aware of it?
Like how the brain works,
Yeah.
how the behavior is determined.
Essentially, yeah. For the people that don't know, your brain has a bunch of neural pathways, and the more you choose a certain action, it strengthens that neural pathway almost as a shortcut. So if you're presented with the same option or problem, you're more likely to go to that thing, which is your pattern. It becomes easy to do that. The cool thing about it, though, it's been discovered in the last, I think, decade that there's a thing called neuroplasticity, meaning you can retrain your brain.
But doing the same thing all the time doesn't take away from your free will.
Sure.
If it's my desire to have the same breakfast every single day, and every day I make that choice to have the same breakfast, that's me expressing my desires, my intentions, my thoughts on my actions. But determinism can be compatible with free will. That some people might look at that choice of you having the same breakfast every day is predetermined almost, but it's still your choice.
So do you believe so? It's in absolute. Everything is choice. There's nothing we do that is not really our own choice, or it just like happens to us, kind of thing.
Well, there are things that just happen to you. There's also like Luke said, there's chemicals in your brain and impulses and stuff that affect your behavior.
Sure.
But ultimately, it's your choice.
Mm.
But like I said, I believe that God knows everything, and He even knows every single choice that you will ever make.
But that doesn't take away from the fact that you still choose it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do we always have responsibility in everything?
Yeah.
Does that come?
You'd hope so, because I think determinism, if you take it too literally, like, no one would have responsibility, right?
Yeah, like that's what I was saying, like about like the lightning strike example.
Yeah.
If that's just a reaction of chemical impulses in the atmosphere, how does that differ from the reaction of chemical impulses in someone's brain if it's predetermined?
Sure. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think everyone needs to take responsibility. There's more nuance. Like, how about if you do something that is wrong, then you are responsible for it. But if you there's still some responsibility you must take, even if you do wrong through like unawareness, or you're not fully aware of what you're doing. For example, I guess people with mental health problems, or if someone's in psychosis, are they responsible for their actions still, in a sense?
I love how everyone looks at me.
Oh no,
it's
good.
It's fine. It's fine.
We're all sane.
Everyone has to take responsibility, I think, regardless. That's a tricky one, but you do have a very, very reduced agency if you are in a psychotic or delirious state, I guess.
Sure.
And that's some of the things I look into, like if they were to sentence someone. Like, let's just say hypothetically that someone with mental health issue committed some sort of crime. You've got mitigating factors and aggravating factors, so things that would lessen the responsibility or the sentence, and things that would make it more harsh. A mental health issue, I don't think nullifies it, but it's taken into consideration. I still think you have to take.
Yeah, so I think they might not be accountable to the law in terms of their actions, but they might still be accountable to God.
Yeah. Okay.
And
the difference between the law and laws.
Yeah, so they might need treatment mentally or physically or whatever, based on the conditions that they have on Earth. But in the next life, they're still going to pay for what they've done.
Sure.
I'm actually gonna argue against that slightly. I think the opposite might be true.
What is the opposite?
So I think, like, let's say that you're in psychosis or some other sort of state. I think God you might not have to pay for it, or at least nowhere near as much, from like God's view, but I think humans would be less empathetic. I feel like humans would judge and treat a lot more harshly.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think this all falls on. It's like the way we're talking. It's like you say you wouldn't call it karma. So what is it? Isn't it? Is it just this different way of saying the same thing? It's like a leveling system.
Yeah, because see karma, how it works. Like people are judged. Like there could be one person on earth who's been rewarded, another person who's been punished.
Yeah.
But I believe everyone on earth is under the same reward / punishment.
Okay.
That you, I can get to it in the
Yeah.
in the
You'll
next
get to it
in the
later
next
on.
in the next
The
section.
next one, sure.
Do you want me to read that section now?
Yeah. The afterlife, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If non-existence before birth did not permanently prevent experience from arising, then non-existence after death has no demonstrated property that would permanently prevent experience from arising again. I believe that beneath memory, personality, and physical form, there exists a continuous first-person perspective, the fundamental subject of experience itself. Memories, personality, beliefs, and physical characteristics may change, but the experiencing subject remains. After death, God evaluates the moral state of that individual and assigns them to an appropriate world. God judges people not merely on outward actions, but on whether they have a good heart, which is characterized by sincerity, love, honesty, humility, compassion, obedience, and willingness to seek God. The universe contains many, many worlds with different conditions. Some are favorable, some are harsh, and others exist between those extremes. Assignment is not random. It reflects the individual's moral development and choices. Earth is neither a paradise nor a hell. It is one of many worlds that contains both suffering and beauty. The conditions of a world are not necessarily a direct punishment or reward for a specific action, but they correspond to the state of the individual who was sent there. When a new life begins, memories of a previous life are removed. This is not a flaw in the process, but an essential part of it. Past life memories would interfere with development, burden a child with experiences that do not belong to their new life, and compromise the fairness of spiritual assessment. Life is therefore a test conducted under conditions of uncertainty. The purpose of the test is not to provide God with information. God already knows the outcome. The purpose is to reveal the individual to themselves and to establish justice through lived experience rather than mere foreknowledge. Individuals are expected to seek truth, pursue good, and seek God without direct knowledge of previous lives or certainty about what comes after death. If a person retained clear memories of previous lives, the test would be distorted because they would possess knowledge unavailable to others. Although memories, personality, and circumstances change from life to life, the underlying perspective remains the same. The individual who is judged after one life is the same individual who experiences the next, even though they begin again with a new brain, new body, and new personal history.
So are you saying that everyone's the soul is the same?
Yeah.
Through each iteration of being, whatever.
Your consciousness your consciousness re-emerges from non-existence as you again in the same way that did you didn't exist before you were born.
Sure.
And then you emerged.
Do you is this so Hinduism believes in like reincarnation, and that is essentially your view of reincarnation what the Hindus believe?
Yeah, but I believe that you will be reincarnated on an alien planet.
Sure.
That there is vast number of planets out there, and that we're not coming back here.
So what what's your thought process of why alien planet? Like, why different planets? Why not the same planet, or what different time or outside time?
Because the planet corresponds to how you did in this life.
Sure.
So if you seek God, you love others, you're morally upright, then you will be rewarded by being put on a favorable planet.
Sure.
But if you did the wrong things, then you'll get put on a planet that's unfavorable.
This doesn't sound good. But
So the lower ones are like the equivalent of like a caveman.
Sure.
But
Okay.
on the favorable planets, like they might have like technology or biology or something that allows them to live for millions of years.
Yeah. So do you think in regards to other planets, is there so are we the highest being? Is there higher beings than us?
Yeah.
In terms of, so there are other consciousness beings besides us, even though not the animal kingdom, we're on Earth.
We're the only one on Earth.
We're the only one on Earth.
But on other planets, there's other conscious
Sure.
beings that are higher than us, and there's other planets with conscious beings that are lower than us.
Sure.
But there's a threshold of consciousness,
Sure.
so you can't go below the threshold.
What is the threshold?
How
would you define the threshold?
I think it's somewhere around like a caveman.
Okay, sure. So how would you define like a caveman? It's like So
having a prefrontal cortex
Right.
is probably important for us, but I don't know how the biology would work on another planet.
Sure.
It'd probably be completely different or something.
But wouldn't a caveman, even though a caveman has consciousness, predominantly he rely more on instincts? Because conscious beings still have instincts. If a being is not conscious, they only have instincts. I would see it.
Yeah, but consciousness is you're either there or you're not there. You can't be half
Conscious.
You can be semi-conscious, but even when you're semi-conscious, you're still there. You're still experiencing it.
They're semi-conscious.
You're either experiencing it or you're not experiencing
So
it.
is the threshold semi-consciousness?
Yeah, so if they were running purely on instincts, I don't think they're conscious.
So depending on how you act, you get sent to a specific planet. Is it also like each planet, depending on how you act, you become a certain type of person as well?
Yeah, so like I said before, there's patterns.
Yeah.
If the way that you're acting in this life, you probably acted in a similar way in past lives and will continue to act in future lives in the same way, even without remembering it.
Okay.
There is some sort of underlying patterns in your consciousness that continue from life to life without you realizing it.
If you were to respawn on a different low-level alien planet with less of a consciousness or less of a prefrontal cortex, does it make it harder to eventually ascend?
It's difficult, but not impossible.
Okay. Sure.
I think this is a gold mine for avoidance. In terms of like you say, like past life memories. That's right. When a new life begins, memories of previous lives are removed. This is not a flaw in the process, but an essential part of it. Past life memories would interfere with development, burden the child with experiences, etc., etc. I think that's good for avoidance because we don't have to remember anything. But on a serious note,
a lot of people, when they think about the afterlife, they think about like they want to meet their family members and hug them, and they want to talk about all the memories that they had together.
You think that's not how it is? That's not going to happen?
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Sorry to disappoint. But there's no photo albums in heaven.
Oh. The way you just...
where does this belief come from?
Yeah, what Luke said.
The memories and stuff are in the hippocampus in the brain. and
Isn't that
and
a
the
bit
brain
reductionist though?
the brain rots in the ground like with your it's part of your body essentially.
Sure.
You receiving everything new again, including like you're gonna be like a baby, like and not know anything.
Sure. Like, but I think that's a bit reductionist in terms of what you said is true. It is true.
What is the mechanism by which memories can you need to invoke divine intervention in order for the memories to be able to continue.
So okay, without our brain, like a biological brain in that, right? Just pure consciousness, right? Outside, beyond, when like after death and that. So then it's what would you say that we are not? It's kind of like what the hippies say, like there is no I, there is no ego. Are you even Craig? You're not Craig in the afterlife?
You become like someone else, but it's still
you.
It's still you experiencing someone else, someone else's.
Because you are really not what you are Craig now, but you are really truly not the Craig. You are the consciousness experiencing Craig.
Like you could say that am I Craig or am I like my past life being who experienced something else?
Right.
And the one before them, and the one before them, and so on and so forth.
Well, this makes me want to take acid. So that's epic. That's epic. Yeah, I've had the thought process many times. So I understand. Okay, cool. Any other thoughts before we move on?
No, I haven't taken enough acid.
What do you think about what I was saying about the judgment? The God judges people based on their heart, whether they have a good heart, which is characterized by sincerity, love, honesty, humility, compassion, obedience, and a willingness to seek God.
I would agree. Like, I mean, in the Catholic view, you have purgatory. It's a cleansing fire. Fire not in a bad way, but you are judged, and because you can't enter. I'm talking the Catholic view, right? You can't enter heaven unclean. You don't, in a Catholic view, you don't just die and go straight to heaven. That you are judged. I think in other denominations it'll be like you're just an instant, that kind of thing. But in a Catholic view, you have judgment in the sense of like almost like I want to say a leveling system, but you are sort of refined more even after death. Yeah, it's my thoughts. But
yeah. I just went mind blank.
That's good.
Next.
I think we should continue on to the next one.
Suffering. Almost all suffering is caused by human choices. We are surrounded by suffering because we don't live in paradise. We live in a world where disobedient people's past lives were full of wrongdoing. There is still a chance to change. They can be saved if they listen to what is deep in their heart. Environmental suffering such as disease and natural disasters are among the ways God administers justice for past lives. Such suffering is not merely punitive, but can also guide individuals towards humility, compassion, repentance, and spiritual growth. The purpose of suffering is not merely to repay wrongdoing, but to develop character, humility, compassion, and dependence on God. Character is not formed in comfort. Individuals are often strengthened through adversity, discipline, and perseverance. Without struggle, there can be no courage, and without challenge, there can be no growth. For those who have a good heart, they can take rest knowing their suffering is only temporary, and a world which is a paradise awaits them in the next life.
That's bangers, man. That's bangers.
Go back to it.
No, I just have a read, but I'm just like nodding because your character is not formed in comfort, right? Purpose of suffering is not merely to repay wrongdoing, but to develop character and all of that. Yeah, we can't have I mean, that's even the purpose of suffering, I'd say.
Do you think all suffering has a purpose?
It better be. It better have a purpose. What do you think? Shit.
Well, I think
Like,
if I
this is
better
gonna be
have
exceptions.
done some messed up stuff in my past life to be deserving this.
oh my god. But you're here, alive. Sure.
In saying that, I'm not sure if you've mentioned it yet, but whereabouts is Earth in terms of the spectrum of paradise and hell for you?
Like in the middle.
In the middle. Okay.
Yeah.
Why are we in the middle? Let me talk about Earth. Why?
Like we're not like a paradise and we're not like a hell. We're like something in
Oh, you're in
between.
the between.
We're like
okay,
people
heaven,
like
hell, and in
did
between.
something like mediocre in their
Okay.
past life. They didn't do anything particularly good. Didn't do anything particularly bad.
Right. I think we need to. Do you think we need to suffer, or we do suffer? We can't run away from suffering.
I think so suffering is it's important in the growth towards like becoming like higher beings.
You cannot grow without suffering.
You can't get there without going through suffering.
Sure.
So the people who are being rewarded with good future lives, they've been given like they're like standing on the shoulders of giants.
Sure.
Those future lives couldn't be there if no one went through suffering to develop those planets
Sure.
first.
It reminds me of the circle of the weak men create hard times create. You know the.
But eventually we hope that the good people can just create good times.
And then it doesn't repeat again.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So wait, is there a point where reincarnation stops? The highest level is that because I think forms of Hinduism say that.
Well, I don't believe that.
So reincarnation.
I
is
believe you can
eternal.
temporarily escape the cycle.
Okay.
By being on a planet with like some sort of life extension.
Sure.
Like either you get born as a creature that naturally lives for a long time,
Sure.
or they have some sort of technology that allows them to extend their life.
Sure.
So they can live for like 1 million years, 1 billion years.
Okay.
But eventually you're gonna die one day, and then you're gonna get reincarnated again. Because nothing in this universe is like forever.
Forever. Nothing is forever. Shit. I don't like the sound of that. But yes, sure. I understand what you're saying.
But maybe the cycle is forever. Maybe it keeps going on and on and on and on.
Well, if you're aware of the cycle, if you're in a cycle that you're aware you're in a cycle and you're in a loop, in my experience, it's always been a bit horrible experience, like with psychedelics and that. So when one gets out of a loop, they escape the loop or escape the cycle. But you saying you can't truly escape a cycle, just temporarily.
Yeah, but for a long time, maybe.
Long time, sure. So we forget until we remember when we're back in a cycle, the next cycle. Because
maybe you'll figure it out again. Maybe you won't figure it out again. Like
I'm figuring it out. I don't know what it is, for sure.
I hope that I come up with all these same beliefs independently without ever knowing about them.
Oh yeah.
And then I figure it out again.
Figure it out again.
But Craig, based on what you said before, is more of a likelihood of doing that. The people in their past lives are more likely to act how they did in their past lives in this life. So if you're able to figure it out in this life, and then let's say hypothetically you ascend to a greater life, you'd probably figure it out faster. Based on that logic.
Well, I think we should move on to the next one.
Yeah. Forgiveness. It's never too late to follow the Creator. If someone has been disobedient, there is still a chance for them. God is both just and merciful. No wrongdoing is ignored, but sincere repentance and a genuine moral transformation can change the individual's future path. They can take their burdens directly to God without the need for a mediator. If they sincerely pray an apology and live a life loving towards others, then they will be spared punishment in the next life. If they are not sincere and continue to increase in disobedience, their punishment in the afterlife will increase. People should be constantly working on making a real change in their lives and not become complacent.
It's true. We should make a real change in our lives, not become complacent. I think if we're complacent, we're just we can end up being bored. But not only that, no growth, but also maybe like autopilot mode.
However, if you're in a much greater life, let's say you get to a life with no suffering, what does it need to grow or suffer? At that point, would it be okay to be complacent? Is there ever a point where being complacent is okay?
Well, the changes, you can always still be loving, still be creative, still be seek wisdom, still seek God. So there's a lot of positive things that you could do even in the absence of suffering.
Sure.
Do you think we can even really have a genuine transformation? We can. People do it, but it's in a sense, how do we know we're not just pretending? We've convinced ourselves that we are just pretending that we've had like a real transformation, and then it works because we believe it. But then that you can always revert from after a transformation.
I guess the person just has to keep genuinely seeking.
So all if we're gonna put it all down into one word, like your system or what you're saying is to seek, keep seeking.
Yeah.
Well, it's like 2 words, I think. But yeah, cool. I guess if we go to the next one.
Yeah. Prayer. It is important to talk to the Creator. You can ask God anything, and if God wills it, it will be granted. Let God know how you are feeling. Thank God and give God praise because God is worthy of praise. When you do wrong, apologize for your disobedience. Call on God to strengthen you in your struggles, and God will listen and act. A person with a good heart God listens to, but not someone with corruption in their heart. Prayer is not a means of controlling God. It is a way of communicating with the Creator, expressing gratitude, seeking guidance, and aligning oneself with God's will.
I think more often than not, people when they pray, without realizing, it's like God is like a genie.
Give me this, give me that.
Yeah, exactly. So prayer. Usually, prayer is about thankfulness. It can be other things, of course, but to try not to fall into the trap of like a genie, because people who are at their worst in life tend to go that way. Ask God to give something. So do you think that prayer, when God grants a prayer, does God grant prayer all the time, no matter what? Absolutely.
I think God answers prayer, but not in the way that
you want,
that you expect.
Yeah, sure. That's what I expected.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't like that, but that's I think the way it is. It's supposed to be. I think it messes with free will. If God always grants you everything that you want, or that you desire, or he grants it in a way that it is exactly what you in Catholicism they have like novenas. Have you heard of the novenas? People pray all these kind of things, but I think people misuse it in the sense that if you pray this prayer 7 times a day for 6 weeks, your wish will be granted. But there's no disclaimer. I don't think prayers actually are granted most of the time. Because if it were, I think it messes with free will.
How does it mess with free will? Like if you did get that?
Because let's say a prayer contradicts with your prayer. For example, I want two brothers. I want a PlayStation 5. I want that PlayStation 5 for me only.
Okay.
And then the other one says the same thing. The other brother, but I want it just for me, right?
You couldn't just have like two PS5s?
No, but the prayer is just one PS5. Each brother just says, I want one PS5. It can't be both. Both can't get the same prayer.
Also, God has His design in creation.
Sure.
And in His wisdom, He has made things to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And is following a certain plan.
Sure.
So that's why I say it will be granted if it's in line with God's will.
Yeah.
We're not changing God's will or changing the purposes in creation.
So God's will is not our will, but our will can line up with God's will.
Yeah.
If and when it does. Okay. Yeah. Next one.
Spiritual guides. Many people have come to show us the way to live according to God's will. The most notable of these is Jesus, who lived according to self-sacrifice. Jesus shows us the highest expression of love. By following his example, we learn to live rightly, not through his death, but through his life. Ancient texts have been corrupted, but the core moral example of figures like Jesus remains recognizable. Although we have many guides, we must still discover the truth within ourselves. We should not believe claims merely because they are ancient, popular, or emotionally appealing. No matter how much people try to manipulate the truth, it is always available to us deep within our heart. God has placed his secrets within us, which no one can take away. Seeking truth requires self-examination, humility, and a willingness to reject comforting falsehoods.
How would you discern between truth and untruths?
Like you're saying the heart can be deceptive?
Or it can be deceived, maybe.
I guess you have to put things to the test.
To the test, sure. And so what if you're wrong after the test? You try again?
Change, yeah.
Change. If we're gonna, in human world, in a Christian context, of course the truth is Jesus. We see, it reminds me of the saying that you need to die to your old self to be renewed in Christ. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
I think it's too simple to be, when you just read it like that, literally, you can't be yourself anymore. I mean, one point of view is you're not yourself anymore. I've seen many people just fall under the trap, and then after that, it doesn't work out. So then the blame goes on the person rather than the belief system of what it is. So if something, do you believe in absolute truth?
Yeah, like I believe this truth that comes from within your heart is like an intuition that God has put there.
Yeah.
And I believe it's essentially the same moral truth in every person.
Okay.
That's the basis of the argument for morality, that everyone has this framework within them that's been put there. So I believe that there is an absolute truth within us, but it gets distorted and it gets warped by our ideas, our selfishness, our corruption, like hides the truth, and you have to seek it out. Like you have to like really seek it out to find out what it is, because it's buried.
For me, in my experiences, I think it's impossible, at least within our minds or bodies right now, would it have to be in heaven or in a place that you are not with sin or not without any corruption. But it's impossible to do it now. So whenever we seek for it, we will always fall, because we'd have to be perfect to achieve it. to achieve whatever that truth is, that absolute truth. It's kind of like the painting, was it Da Vinci or Leonardo, where Adam touches God's hand, but he doesn't actually touch it. The fingers don't actually touch.
Yeah, it's very close.
They're very close, but we can never actually really do it.
We can only try or seek.
Try and seek. So, but can you actually do it, or is the whole point just seeking, or can you actually not just seek but actually do it, get it right? In my experience, I don't think you can, unless in this world. But
yeah, but we don't know. We don't know. Maybe on another planet, maybe it's possible.
Sure.
In a more more perfected state.
The most perfection state. Let's say there is a perfection state at the end. It's like pure light or pure consciousness, which is different from God's light. I could see that being it, but we'd have to be so advanced that we're like AI in terms of, can deduce things in milliseconds or less than
telepathy.
Yeah, and all that kind of thing. Sure. Next.
Yep. Beware of false teachers. Many have come who claim to be the source of truth. Outwardly they present as sheep, but inwardly they are like wolves. Judge teachers not only by their words, but by the effects they produce. Pride, control, violence, dishonesty, and fear reveal corruption regardless of what is preached. Listen first to your heart and ponder on God's will. If what they say contradicts your conscience, reason, and understanding of God's will, treat them with caution. While in the presence of their followers, do what you know to be right, so that you may be seen as an example. Do not fear. Fear is the enemy of love. Evil feeds on it, but love conquers. Be unwavering in loving others, even in the face of evil.
That's sorry, can I just... Yeah, is everyone a false prophet in their own sense, because everyone has corruption inside them, or are there really true prophets without corruption?
I think no one is perfect.
Yeah.
But there are better and worse guides.
Sure.
And people can point us in the right direction.
Yeah.
And people can point us in the wrong direction. But even the ones that point us in the right direction, we still have to look within ourselves. You can never disregard the inner truth. You don't find truth from the outside. You find it from the inside.
Should we even have any guides in the first place?
Well, if there's someone who is finding truth within themselves,
sure,
we can emulate them, because we need to find the truth within ourselves too, so we can be like them.
Yeah.
and do the things that they do, because they're just following what we will find within ourselves if we look. So
is what we'll find the same as what the other person finds, if it's the actual truth?
Yeah.
Okay. Luke, any?
No, I see, what you're saying.
Okay, well, next one.
Why God rarely acts. Creation functions according to God's design. Everything happens for a reason, including suffering. Nothing is apart from God's plan. God is vastly superior to us, more than we are to worms. We aren't the center of everything. God doesn't have to grant our every wish or do everything we expect. If God needed to constantly interfere with creation, it would mean there was a mistake. God doesn't make mistakes, humans do. It's not God's responsibility to clean up the mess we make. That duty is ours. Nor is it God's duty to do miracles or give us divine knowledge. God has already given us enough evidence through creation of the universe and life.
I think I agree with 90% of that, but there was something you read. Nothing to be apart from God's plan. So everything happens for a reason, including suffering. Nothing is a part of God's plan. I think things can. I think God can be known of everything, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily meant to be a certain way. I think that, like, I believe that there is necessary suffering and unnecessary suffering. The unnecessary suffering sometimes just being people misusing their free will that ends up hurting other people. I don't think it's always like a person paying a karmic debt or as a part of like a bigger thing that we can't see, maybe.
Yeah, don't really have anything. I agree with what you said, but nothing to point out.
So suffering as like a part of like a karmic thing. Like I believe that God knows everything that happens in the universe, and yeah, I think that there's a reason. There's like there's not just random suffering occurring. There's a purpose.
So it's like
Like even suffering that might look random, it's on a path. Like there's a path towards something. There's a greater development happening in the universe that suffering is contributing to.
Okay.
so is anything for ourselves? Like how about people who are like typical thing about like people who are poor or like bottom of the barrel in life? They live in gutters or whatever. All these kind of sufferings, very bad sufferings, rape or all that bad sufferings. It's for it should still happen because it's for something bigger in those kind of extreme scenarios.
Well, I think we're also called to intervene and we're meant to reduce the amount of suffering. Like we're not meant to just stand by and allow suffering to occur, but sometimes suffering is placed there so that we can intervene and stop it.
Sure. Okay.
Next?
Yep.
No.
On the resurrection. Before Jesus died, we are to suppose that people got to heaven by loving God and leading moral lives. What changed? We are told that because of one alleged historical event, billions of people were suddenly excluded for either not believing in or knowing about the supposed miracle. This isn't grace, it's exclusivism based on knowledge. That's not how a loving God would operate. Jesus' death shouldn't be celebrated. It was a tragedy and a result of human wrongdoing, the wisest of all men, slain by the most evil of men. You don't need a blood ritual to atone for your wrongdoing. Salvation comes through repentance, moral transformation, and sincere devotion to God, rather than belief in a specific historical miracle.
I just want to go. Yeah. So I think that's the final paragraph of Craig's writings. So, I mean, you've had quite of a change or development in belief system. You said you told me prior before that your questioning of Jesus, or I guess maybe the mainstream view of Jesus, you started from your view of the resurrection. So can you tell us a bit about what's your belief system before and now in terms of Jesus?
Well, before I would say it was conventionally Christian.
Yeah.
And then I started to question, like, if the resurrection happened as it was described in the Bible, if the apostles were mistaken and something else happened.
Sure.
And then I was starting to question, well, what is the relevance spiritually of this event anyway? Even if it did happen, it's as the story goes, it's excluding so many people.
Who are these people?
People who don't know about the resurrection, or
sure.
people who don't believe in the resurrection.
Sure. Okay.
So why are people being judged on their knowledge of historical facts rather than on the condition of their heart?
Well, yeah, really, the conventional view outside of Orthodox and Catholic Christianity is, it's really very clear in terms of the theology outside of those two churches that you don't believe in Jesus, or that his resurrection, or that he died for us. In terms of like the conventional belief system of Protestants, anyone outside, non-Christians, and that they will go to hell, but by God's grace they might not. But it's to bet on that they'll go to hell. So, did you think that before, and no, now, or?
Yeah, I believe that believing in the blood of Jesus is the only way to get to heaven.
Sure.
That's what I used to believe. But now I believe that you get to heaven through the moral assessment
Sure.
that comes through the test of life God's putting us through.
I believe Jesus is the way, as his followers called the way as well, as in this tribe, because he is the way, and it is the only way. Of course, that's the Christian conventional view, but I believe in more of. Have you heard of panentheism? That's not. It's different from pantheism.
Yeah, no, I haven't.
I can't. I'll butcher the definition, but the thing is, so pantheism is like belief in all, right?
Yeah.
Like, everything is the universal kind of thing. But a pantheism would, in turn, go towards more universalism. Like everyone has a truth, right? Or the belief system, kind of that. Panentheism is more so that there are all these roads. This is like it is compatible with Catholicism. I'll try not to butcher it so much that I might cause Catholic heresy, but every possible belief system has truth, but it is not the truth. If you don't follow Jesus through one's own ignorance, or for example, like Protestants in the Reformation, they chose to reject the Catholic Church, so they chose to reject the fullness of the truth. But you can't apply the same thing to people of today. If they're born into it, that kind of thing, so they do not know. And if they fall away, or they become like an atheist or some kind of thing, it's different. But they can still, like other religions have truth. They are all searching for the truth, and they can go to heaven. The difference between Protestant Christianity and Catholic or Orthodox Christianity is you can go to heaven. In Protestants, you won't go to heaven if you don't believe in Jesus. I mean, that's my 2 cents.
What about you, Luke?
So I guess kind of similar. I think to Daniel, I think the main way to heaven or to salvation is through Jesus. But I do think there are anomalies or where God's grace can step in. If someone in maybe an uncontacted tribe or someone that never got to hear the word of God, if they were to act within their conscience, they could, in a sense, without at a subconscious level, they can still accept Jesus by living the way he would want. But I don't want to say that that should be that should be the exception, not necessarily the rule. Otherwise, it might start to question the relevance of Jesus dying on the cross, I guess.
But only the believer in that kind of Christianity would see that way.
Like what I was saying is like we need to follow his life. So if we live the way that he lived, even someone who didn't know who Jesus is, if they're living the way that Jesus lived, they're on the right path.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. So I guess that's pretty much all that you're in your writings. Yeah. I appreciate it. Luke appreciates it.
We can probably link the entire text in the description.
Yeah, we'll put it in the description, or if not, if it can't, we'll put if it's full characters, we'll attach it.
Yeah.
I guess we can talk a bit. We'll make it 1 hour and 30. We can have 15 minutes more talk.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, this is the longest podcast. Yeah, sure.
1 hour 30 is fine. That's
So do you have any criticisms, anything you thought I went wrong with,
Well,
or it's just like it's too unproven maybe? I'm making a lot of claims,
Yeah.
or
so of course there is a criticism because I don't hold your belief system exactly.
yeah,
That's the given. When that happens, I guess my thing is about a lot of claims. The thing is what I find is of course, let's say conventional Christianity, their claims are backed up by the historical Jesus, that he was real and all that, right?
yeah,
But I do believe there's a difference between evidence theologically, from in the divine sense, and historically through reason. I guess your claims about other planets, like in my mind, I'm picturing planets, but why planets? Why?
why not like a field or like
Why
a flat Earth or something?
Why very specific? Yeah, exactly. But why very specific to that planets? Like
Well, because that's the experience we have here. So I think
okay.
that if this is like just one of those lives, then this is kind of what we would expect.
Sure. I mean, I'm still pretty open because a lot of your belief system I once held more so. I still do to a degree when it comes to philosophizing and life and morals and that. But yeah, how about you, Luke?
I feel like a lot of it, I don't mind. I guess the way I differ is, the afterlife. I guess when I picture the afterlife, I picture like heaven and a hell as like two separate dimensions, not necessarily planets. What else was there? I agree with quite a lot of it. I like the fact that you say humans generally have patterns and that's likely to continue. However, even in spite of that, you can change and you can still seek truth, even if it is a bit harder. Suffering, I for the most part agree with. I think suffering can create quite a lot of good. The only thing that I disagree with, which I already have towards the end of it, where I don't think everything necessarily has a purpose, but suffering can create a lot of good. It can also, on the off chance, create not so good things as well, like PTSD or like trauma-based disorders.
CPTSD is a better one. Complex. Sure.
So you think like sometimes it just doesn't help people grow. Sometimes it helps people go down.
Yeah,
do
the
opposite. 100%. BPD, CPTSD, PTSD, substance abuse disorders, DID.
Or damn.
A lot
Keep
of
it
these.
going.
I'm not gonna just
name it.
A lot of these things are based off like severe trauma, which ends up negatively affecting them in a lot of ways, and could even impact them in such a way where it could be. I don't want to talk too much about it, but like it could make it a lot harder for them to ascend. In short,
I'm all
do you
for
think that's like helping them be like an evolutionary dead end, which would benefit the human race overall?
That's a funny way to put it.
Interesting.
Like the people who are like more resilient to suffering end up like having more children and therefore like creating a race of people in the future who are going to be suffering resilient.
I think there's some truth to that because like if you don't let your suffering define you, if you get out of it, right, you are better. You do come out stronger if you do it. But not everyone will.
Sure. Actually, statistically, most won't.
Yeah. But that's the thing as well. Sure.
Well, there was something you were saying before that. You were all for something?
I'm all for Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude.
Have you heard of Schadenfreude?
No, I haven't heard of this weirdly unique German term. Can you explain?
But you, Craig, have you heard of Schadenfreude?
No.
You take pleasure in people's pain. So
Is this like
it's a very simple way of saying it. But like, let's say someone does you wrong, I would
It's like masochism. Or
no,
something.
yeah, it can be, but the way I'm thinking of it, it's a bit of a half joke.
Sadism.
It's
is the word.
sadism.
It's a bit of a half joke, half truth in a way. It's like if someone does you wrong, right? But they get away with it. In my opinion, the Schadenfreude can be. It's not a good thing, but it's what is it? The scales. It's just equalizing the scales, like karma in a way. Like what happens to what wrong you do, it will come back at you. If you get away with it, it'll still come back at you at the end. That's what I hope for. But you mentioned all these mental states, but I don't know. Schadenfreude just popped up.
So do you take pleasure in people?
No, you see, okay. Here's the thing: I don't. Right? I usually don't.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm so depressed. Like
Also, why? Why, when you usually don't, you're so depressed?
because then I people please. That's but for some reason, if something that doesn't, I don't want bad to happen in the sense of the person's life is ruined, but just equalizing the scales, justice. There needs to be justice.
Okay.
So it's more of not pleasure, but everything's a bit of pleasure, anyways. But injustice, it just I'll say it straight. It makes you feel better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like humans have a natural inclination to want justice to be served.
Yeah.
I think that is quite a normal thing. How that is served or how it happens.
Well, it can't be up to you because you can't. You can't keep on feeding it. But then again, even if justice comes, I guess it can only come if you just let go. So, like you said, life is about seeking. Couldn't life be about just letting go?
The life of Pi.
Oh, sure, life of Pi. What do you think about you just let go?
Well, you have to let go in the end. You have to let go of this life because you're gonna forget everything and you're gonna become like a new person essentially. So you can't like continually try to hold on to this. You have to accept that one day you're gonna have to let go, but you don't have to let go right now. You have to let go when you die.
That happened to me on DMT. So, but I don't. Yeah, I let go because you have to, but then no one wants to actually let go. But you will have to let go anyway in the end, even if you don't want to. I mean, like after death, afterlife. It's not like you can resist the afterlife and stay and come back alive. I mean, that's what Jesus done. Or some people who claim they can do it. You can't resist letting go.
But maybe if someone is continually trying to hold on and they're not acknowledging that they have to let go when they die, that's something morally that will be judged against them.
Oh, okay.
That you have to have some sort of acceptance of the process.
Sure.
And not fight it because you're fighting against God in that sense.
I feel like I'm in a psychology session.
Can I, ironically, one of the, so quick random tangent, where the camera is stacked upon a bunch of books and one of the books is psychology.
Quran. Oh,
Psychology for Dummies.
Yeah, Psychology for Dummies. Shout outs to, I'm not going to name drop them, but a very important friend that got me up for my 30th birthday last year. But yeah, like a psychology session. If life is all just a big process of letting go, can I speed it up?
No, you don't want to speed it up because you don't want to go through a cycle of like dying over and over and over again in quick succession. You want it to be like as long as possible between deaths.
Okay, sure.
If you speed it up, you're not gonna grow. You're skipping things. You can't really skip life. You can try, but some people may. If you skip it, you're an avoidant. That's the way I see it.
Okay.
So, but like, it's like if you want to fast forward things, that you're avoiding things, right?
Yeah.
But the more you avoid or skip things or whatever, accumulates more of this baggage.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
If you never acknowledge the baggage, is it really that?
What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, answer
Fair enough.
the baggage is still. It's like God is. You can't see God, right? It's still there. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist because you ignore it.
Sure, okay. The truth is the truth, whether or not you subscribe to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he already made a Substack. I made a Substack. I think it's
My
your time to make a Substack.
my Substack's pretty much dead. I haven't posted in many
That's
years.
why we need to motivate each other to get better.
Why is
Lack of a
Substack-
better word, karma.
Why is Substack? Why not X or one of the many other social
Nah,
media?
because Substack is cool. It's the new thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm too old. I wouldn't know.
Probably Twitter or something. X now is the character limit is too short for my.
Yeah, it
my
is.
thing.
It
Actually,
is. So you need
would
Substack.
Substack allow like?
Yeah, it would.
Oh,
The whole
wow.
thing, like as an article.
Okay.
It's an article. So
Alright.
everything you can do it as long as you can. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Any last words from our guest that you want to tell us or tell the world?
Yeah, I would like to say the heart of the warrior is forged in the fire by the hammer of iron will.
Shit. We gotta take acid again. Damn. Alright, cool. How about you, Luke?
No.
You got a quote as well?
Oh. I don't. Even if I did, I don't know if I want to reflect upon anything recent. Yeah, nothing now.
Life is like a box of chocolates or whatever.
You never know what you're gonna
Gonna
get.
get. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank Craig for coming on to our podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, I would like actually to see you more in our podcast. I think what you write is very deep, very insightful. It's very thought provoking. I'm waiting for Luke to write his next his version.
What am I?
Maybe we bring the Bible in next time.
I've
Analyze it.
got my what do you call it?
Your magnum opus.
Yeah, I've got my
Okay,
magnum
okay.
opus.
Um,
I may or may not discuss. I don't
Sure.
know. We'll see.
we might read the Bible next time, or the Quran, or the Mormon Bible. So stay tuned. Thanks for listening or watching. We'll see you next time. See ya.
See you.
Bye bye. Cool.